in case you're not sure, you're in the interactions class. And we are a class that is spirit-led. And we have a group of people here with unique gifts and that enjoy sharing those gifts. And that's what we're about, and we're so happy and blessed to be a part of this class. We have some people here that they're part of our class, though they live in a different state, but they are important to us and they come to visit occasionally. And these two I'm going to mention first are George and Ginny Gannaway. That's right there. They are, father and stepmother of our own Ellen.
Got their names right.
Yes. And Mike sure said that. Mr. Gannaway is going to be sharing with us this morning, so we are really excited and happy about that.
Mr. Gannaway, we are so happy to have you here with us today. We're so glad that you share your daughter and your son-in-law with us, and I guess Ellen's going to officially present you.
Since I roped him in here, I thought I at least should introduce him. So Phil, you and Mary often were my inspiration. So when I had signed up and thought, what am I going to talk about? What am I going to talk about? And then hearing Mary up here on Mother's Day talk about being a member of this church and things that involve. Now, Dad, Mary is you're much younger than Mary. So, but I think Mary says she's 90. Yeah, so she's not. But it was great to see black and white pictures of her as a little girl on the front steps and talking about what the church had meant to her. And I thought, what a twist, because my father was born into a Methodist family, went to a Methodist church, but I don't even know how many places we've lived, 3 or 4, moved around a number of times, and everywhere we moved, we joined a Methodist church. And I thought it'd be really interesting to hear my father talk about his experiences and his evolution and some of his thoughts and things that he's learned. So, Dad, thanks for doing my class.
I've been associated with a lot of Methodist churches, but this is without a doubt the most risky church I've ever seen in my life. I've never been at one where you preach the sermon and then take up the money. No, every one that I've ever been a member of, you take up the money and then preach. I want to, your minister this morning really spoke on this just a little bit, and our Sunday school teacher back home talked about the fact of how important community is, and the Methodist Church family being a community, and how important it is for us all to be a part of the community. And he spoke in terms of the gentleman, that's a broad term, and the guy in Aurora who elected to decide that he should kill a bunch of people. Obviously, he lacked community. He was off in a world that was, who knows. So I want to talk a little bit this morning about the community of my association of being in the Methodist Church. My mother grew up in the Methodist Church, so obviously we went to the Methodist Church. My father grew up in the Christian Science Church, and he went with his sisters. He had 2 old maid sisters, and he went with them periodically. But basically, it was through the Sunday school class that he attended with Mother that he really became involved in the church. Very much so, became very active, sang in the choir, chairman of the board of stewards and this type thing. But it was quite frankly through a Sunday school class, not a sermon, that brought him to Christ. I want during my high school, I went to Sunday school just like everybody did every Sunday, this type thing. Interestingly enough, enough, I couldn't be but amused a little bit that your minister is going to have a Italian dinner and she's serving wine. And I grew up in a Methodist.
She's not serving wine, she's allowing it to be served.
I grew up in a Methodist
She's
church,
praying over the wine.
which literally once each year they had a temperance Sunday, and each one would sign a pledge. It was a form printed by the Methodist Church not to drink nor partake and participate in restaurants that served any alcohol. I asked my mother why we always went to Finn's restaurant, because they served beer. I never did get a good answer. But I grew up in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and by today's environment, it was truly, I guess, what you'd call sterile. We had no alcohol in high school, no drugs. You say, well, you must have been super nerd. Well, I was in student council and elected that for 2 years, so I wasn't a super nerd. But my pictures, I do look like it. And that's a fact. Even my friends tell me that. And it's most interesting that it wasn't until I went to Georgia Tech that I found out that these guys from Savannah, they've been drinking beer since they were 10 years old. I couldn't believe it when I had some of those guys. But I joined the fraternity, and then I found out that the only really good drink was bourbon and Coke. I can't stand bourbon and Coke. But I have a friend of mine who's a multi-millionaire from Michigan, and that is his drink of choice. I give him a hard time about it all the time. But during that period of time that I was in college, if you went to Georgia Tech back then, you went to school 6 days a week. Sunday you rested and you didn't go to church. I never went to church except when someone made me when I was in college. School was tough back then. We studied off. But Saturday night I only studied a few Saturday nights, but the rest of the time. Then after I graduated from college, I went to work for AT&T. Hadn't been there very long. Got a telegram. Uncle Sam wants you to the U.S. Army. So I was commissioned second lieutenant, Corps of Engineers. Went off, served in the 82nd Airborne in the paratroopers. I know I don't look like a trained killer, but I used to jump out of airplanes then. I weighed a few pounds lighter. The chutes we had then, I could jump out of the chutes that they had back then now, because we were able to drop bulldozers. Many 100-foot diameter chutes were required to drop a bulldozer. Then we had the one that the chutes didn't open that day. It took them 2 days to dig it out of the hole. I was married while I was in the service to my first wife, Pat Boyton. She was a Methodist also, but she, like myself, we were a young married couple, and we attended church, I think, when we were in the service on Easter. We hadn't been married too long till along came Sammy. And then when we got out of the military, we got to thinking, well, you know, we have a young child here. We grew up in church. Maybe we ought to go to church. So we were in Memphis at the time, and I was working for the telephone company. It was the telephone company back then, AT&T, the only one in town. And we joined the class, young couples, and some of those people are still friends with us today. The fact is, Ginny and I were married. Roy Thurman, who's in that class, he came to Chattanooga and was my best man. So it's the friends that you make early in life in Sunday school class that stay with you as far as I'm concerned. 1968, had a promotion, moved to Chattanooga. We soon attended a church that had young couples, and everyone, was raising children at that time. 1973, went off to Birmingham. The great school system, we never did find a church or a Sunday school that we really liked there. Then we were back to Memphis, and we were able to moved back to Memphis. and took my family with me. And we reestablished ourselves in the Christ Methodist Church there, and that was always a good experience. It was primarily, I feel like, that the Sunday school class and the members of the association there was the things that, quite frankly, have meant the most to me over the years. Then I went back to Birmingham in 1985. That was really not a good experience. Things just didn't work out well down there. Unfortunately, we went to Chattanooga in 1987 and been there ever since. That turned out to be a good thing because at the time, 3 of our parents, Pat's mother was still alive, and both my mother and father were there, and we were both only children. I know if you knew me real well, I'd have to tell you that you'd never figure it out. But we were there, and our parents, and we lost them in the next 5 years. So that was a good thing that we were back there. Here again, the Sunday school class was always supportive of us, and at that time, when we moved back and were in that class, we were at an age where all our children were getting married, graduating from college, and I felt like that I needed to join the Gift a Month Club. I was having to buy gifts for this wedding, that graduation. I couldn't get over how many gifts we were buying. And then Ellen decides that she'd like to get married. It was either 90 or 91. I can't keep it straight. The only way I can tell, I could go back and see my old canceled checks because they're about and see what year that came. I do remember that we really did rack in the gifts, and that was a great deal, except I received absolutely no benefit. But it was somewhat return payment. The 90s were good to us. I retired in 1993. The telephone company was tired of me. They paid me to leave, and paid me well, and I left. Had some opportunities to work. Was working, ironically, in Denver, a place that gets a lot of notoriety. I was working and teaching a class when 9/11 occurred in Denver. So I'll always remember Denver. We bought a beach house, down in Mexico Beach, which I just got back from yesterday. Ginny drove most of the way, which was really very nice. And got to play a lot of golf, taking nice trips. Life was really good. We were doing very much in the church and that type of thing. I've been chairman of the board of trustees, and all the money, and things like that. And the fact is, I'd even remarked to my wife, Pat, at the time, I says, disaster has avoided our family. We had some friends who lost children prematurely, accidents, motor vehicle accidents, illnesses, this type of thing, and we really basically had avoided that. No relative of ours had had any traumatic death. And then, as things do change, in the summer of 2006, my wife Pat, she didn't pass the mammogram. And sure enough, she had breast cancer. We went through the normal treatment of chemo, surgery, radiation, and she was declared cancer-free. But then, this was in 06, and then in 08, January of 08, the test didn't show up so well. And she began treatment again. The doctors were optimistic because there was quite a few people who have been able to do well with treatments the second time around. However, as I look back now, she was receiving the treatments, didn't seem to be improving. In fact, one of the tests showed that they really were not taking effect. The doctor was thinking very seriously of changing whatever he was approaching state. During all this time, arthritis had taken a terrible toll. Chemo is a poison, and it literally does, they give it up to the tolerance that you can take so it can kill the cancer and not kill you, but it also destroys other things. And Pat became very debilitated in May, and I had to get a wheelchair, but she toughed it out, and we went back for the last time to Mexico Beach in May, because our youngest son, Brian, had decided that he would get married on the beach. And so we made it to that. She did not attend all the festivities, but she made it to the wedding, and then we got back home. And we were supposed to have a treatment on a Tuesday, and Monday she was not doing well, somewhat hallucinating, took her to the hospital, and ultimately she was having lung failure and didn't last 24 hours. And I say that to say that, you know, you think you're ready for these things, but then you aren't. I knew that things were not well, but no doctor had said she's going to die. I was concerned that things, since things were not getting better, obviously at some point in time they need to. And so that did not go well. And following the past death, she was one of the first among our close couples. My wife was the first one to die, and it was kind of interesting and looking back as to how people really didn't know how to react to that. And I must admit, I'm looking back when I think of some friends who've lost ones, I don't think I reacted properly. In fact, I was invited to a dinner party of these couples, and during the whole dinner party, Pat was never mentioned. It was like the elephant in the corner, you know. And I sat down and thought about that, and I wrote an email to her. And I told them, I said, you know, Pat is a part of my family for years. Please feel free to talk about those many memories and things that we did together. It may be tough for me. It's a little tough for me right now. And I may lose it at some point in time, but that's okay. Don't ignore the situation that this person existed. And some people just, and I got the response back that I got was really very good. Most of them said they really didn't know what to say. And that was a good thing, and I was kind of glad that I did that and took the trouble to say that to those friends, because then it has kind of helped me. Ginny and I, since we've been married, we're at that age where we're losing friends, and we've tried to do things for these friends, because it can be kind of a lonely life after that. And now, who are the people that are doing this? Not my golfing buddies. The church. Shortly thereafter, I began to have some questions about some things in my own mind as to what I ought to do. And so I decided I'd call a consultant. So I called Lail. I said, Ellen, what should I do about wearing this wedding ring? You know, I hadn't read too much about these several things, you know, how about handling the personal items and this type of thing. Well, Ellen, she began to do a little research and this type of thing about what the norm was, and so she was most helpful in that arena. Shortly thereafter, our church in Chattanooga sponsors what's called a forward class, and it's a class for strictly those people who've lost a spouse. It was, so they called me up and said, well, I'd go. And one of my ministers said, George, we're having this class starts in here. So I signed up. I think it was a 6-week class. And I thought, well, why not? And I was doing reasonably well. I was able to accept Pat's death reasonably well because she was suffering really. She was confined to a wheelchair. I had to help her do everything. It was not a good life for her at all. So I went to this class, and I did not attend the first one. I was out of town. I've got mine. And then at the second meeting, there was this very attractive lady that walked in. She was a little bit late. And when I looked at her, I said, I wonder what in the world her husband died from. Think about that just a minute. But I looked around the rest of the class, and I saw the rest of us looked like we were on the French fry diet. But this lady was not. And she kind of caught my attention. But, you know, my Ginny says I'm kind of that way. And the class was really good. People shared their grief, they shared the things that were bothering. There was some discussion of finances, discussion of what you do with personal items. But the ability to sit and share with others of what you're experiencing in these situations. Some people, their husband or wife had handled all the finances, had handled all the cooking. There had been no shared responsibilities, and so, you know, some of them had really been caught really off guard, had died. Some that had lost spouses very suddenly in this type of thing. But it was a good class, and I was really glad that I had attended. Moving on, I can see time's about to catch me here. The young lady that I'd like to see young, she was a little younger than I am. I found out her name was Gail Coulter, and she'd been speaking all over town. She'd had breast cancer when she was 27 and survived it, and she was quite well known in the city. And we had a going away dinner, and at the dinner, she was late to that. But she did come over and sit next to me. And we talked about, well, let's have another meeting. Let's have another dinner meeting. And I said, well, let's go to Provino's. Next month is December, we'll go to Provino's. Somebody said, why Provino's? I said, it's my birthday and I eat free. With that, Gail said, well, I'll take you. So I found out she was serious. Bottom line is, she took me. I called my consultant to get Ellen. She had known Gail because they'd been in Cornish together. And I said, Ellen, Gail, she's a pretty attractive lady. She'd been Miss Chattanooga and Miss Tennessee and USA runner-up. I found out later. And I thought, my word, and I had no idea that I was attractable to attractive women. I never had been at any time in my life, you know. But she seemed to be interested in me, and I asked Gail, I asked Ellen, I said, what should I do? She said, well, duh, Dad. Invited her something else that you have to pay for. So I did. I invited her to a few extra things, and we hit it off. And Gail and I, as I look back, it was a terribly rushed through romance in the sense that we were married in February, the following February, just a few months later, and we were very fortunate. We had chaperones on our honeymoon. That's when Mike and Ellen went with us to the Galapagos Islands. That trip was planned long before I just even met Gail or decided to get married, but we had a real nice experience. But then disaster hit again, and in November of that year, Gail comes down with liver cancer. She suffered. They tried lots of things. We even had some emergency heart operation in between all this. But in February the next year, she succumbed to liver cancer. She had not been married. We had not been married quite a year, and that was tough.
You brought her to our class, sir, right?
Yeah, I did. She did come. I'm sure. And I took this one hard. I had to remove pictures from the house because, you know, for all practical purposes, Gail just all of a sudden was just gone. And I sought professional help for this one, or read quite a few books. My cousin Emily, her husband got sick a month after Pat. He died 2 or 3 months later. He had been a retired Methodist minister. And I visited Emily, and she, of course, needless to say, he had quite a library of books of this nature. She gave me quite a few books. And man, I was reading it because I needed help. I needed a lot of help. And Ellen gave me, ironically, my consultant, Ellen, gave me a book that I felt like, and I think she's spoken to you guys about it quite a bit, and that's the one that Kushner wrote, Why Bad Things Happen to Good People. And as an engineer, I kind of appreciated what he said. He said, he speaks a lot of the laws of nature, and God does not change the laws of nature. Prayer doesn't change earthquakes, storms, accidents, they occur. I think in terms of some of the prayers that we have, and I want to talk a little bit more about that, you know, we pray for the safe trip. Well, 500 people have been killed in the state of Tennessee so far this year. I'm sure some of those people prayed for a safe trip. Somebody made a mistake. Somebody changed lanes. Somebody went to sleep at the wheel. These are the kind of things that happen. And you know, Christians, we have a tendency to pray. We want God to fix everything. We want people to get well. We want to have a good job. We want to have a safe trip. We pray as if an awful lot of our prayers are, God, fix it. And in preparing this, I looked up Kushner again. And interesting, one of the things that was commented about it, and I'm going to take the liberty of reading this very briefly. Kushner was asked, if God can't fix things, why pray? He said, for two reasons. Number one, prayers of others make us realize we are not facing things alone. And number two, God can give us strength of character that we need to handle our misfortunes if we are willing to accept it. And I guess I feel very strongly about that. Ginny and I then went, ironically, about a month ago, went to hear a gentleman talk at our church, and he was the professional counselor that I went to see a couple years ago, and he was making the talk. And he made a statement up there. He said, you know, the Hindus have it right when it comes to prayer. And I thought, wait a minute, what is this? I thought this was Methodist Church. Is the Hindu religion here? Well, look at Google Hindu prayers. It's most interesting. The Hindus pray for insight on how to deal with what befalls them. And it says several other things, but this guy was talking about it. He says, and ironically, this main guy's name was Dr. Philpott. He talked about that Christians, we do have a tendency to pray to a fix-it God. I want to be well. I want my job. I want my children to do well in school. I want to graduate. I want to get married, have children. Do all these kind of things that we think that God can fix. I'm just not real sure that God is going to fix all those things. I do know that there was one heck of a lot of prayers that went up for my first wife and for my second wife. Gail, because of who she was in Chattanooga and who she'd been, and she made a lot of public speeches about breast cancer and things of this nature. She was a very in the public kind of person. I received emails, lists, friends of mine on her prayer list, and yet that prayer of healing was not answered. Now, some people I grew up in a church that said that was God's will. Well, if you read Kushner, he doesn't think too much of that being God's will, and I don't either. I don't think it's God's will that she either lived or died. I just believe that it's part of the laws of nature. There's so many people who get sick, and there's so many people who get well. Now, and I feel very strongly that what Kushner says, that our prayer ought to be, God give us strength of character that can handle our misfortunes. Well, I had begun to go along, and ironically, before I read some of these, I was somewhat praying for strength and courage, and I was doing reasonably. I was doing better. I was able to put Gail's pictures back up in the house. I could talk about her and this type of thing. And at my church, I have been known to be considered kind of fat, dumb, and happy about some things. And all of a sudden I realized that this strength and courage that I was looking for was taking a new form. The form was this girl that was about 5'5", had kind of strawberry blonde hair, and her name was Ginny. And Ginny and I began to date, and it wasn't too long before she asked me to marry her. I again found that I didn't realize that I was so attractive to her. And Ginny and I have been married now 18 months, and she says I'm wonderful as long as I'm asleep, because if I'm awake, I've got a project for her. My children, before we were married, said, whatever you do with Dad, don't ask him, because there's anything else you need to do, because he'll come up with something. But Ginny and I have been married 18 months, and it has been great. So my prayers were answered in a form a little different from maybe what I was looking for. But my closing thought to you, I see some of you, if there's anybody my age, I don't quite recognize them. Don't give up. Don't give up. Things can get awful bad, but things can get better. And I am very thankful for where I am at this point in my life. I have reasonably good health. Play golf. Can't beat my grandson, but I can beat a few of my friends. So with that, I thank you for asking me to come and share with you what the Methodist Church and my friends in the Methodist Church that have been with me during all these troubled times that I've had. And I'd like to say it's primarily the people in Sunday school classes that have come to my needs and been with me and helped me during all these times.
Gather in a circle, ask Mr. Gannaway if he would pray for us. And again, we want to thank you so much, and I'm known for asking you to come back and do a part two. So we're going to do that at some future date.
We should group that.
Okay. May we pray. Dear Father, make us thankful for this, a beautiful day. Make us thankful for the blessings that we do have. Give us the strength to accept those things that come to us. Give us courage to move on with our lives. We're thankful for this group and all that are represented here. We pray now that you will bless this group as they go forward. May they become a community to others. These things we have in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen. Let's give them a round of applause.
Well, the thing is, my portion of that is just one
The reason I asked about which hospital,
I guess it's a
contacting hospice and he's trying to get inpatient care.
Yeah.
So I just recommended Crossroads to the hospice area.
You want to make up for giving really good prices.
I know it's hard.
Education